So non-duality isn't about taking on new concepts. It isn't about having a new perspective on life and looking at life through a new filter of non-duality. It's about the end of filters or the end of perspectives or positions about anything. So non-duality, in a dramatic way, you could say, is the loss of everything you think you know, including you. It's really not about walking around with a new religion, with a new idea of yourself and what you believe in. So it's not about anything I say or any other non-duality speaker says. So if you believe non-duality is about no self or no doer or no separation, then that's just what you believe and not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is an energetic drop of inside and outside. And it's the end of suffering. It's the end of resistance to what is. It's the end of somebody resisting what is. But to believe what I say is just to be in another religion, another dogma. It's not about believing what I say. So what is it about? It's about what always is. It's got nothing to do with concepts. Yeah, concepts appear in it and are it, but not because of what they mean, but because of the experience of them, or the appearance of them. So it's about this freedom that is, this stillness that is, this no-thingness, this everythingness, this So when a lot of body-mind mechanisms hear that, what they do is they then imagine themselves being in this, and knowing this, and understanding this, and one day dissolving into this. And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this. The sound of the clock ticking, the sound of the voice, the light, the sensations, the thinking, the feeling. Okay, we'll move to questions now. Hey, Andre. Hello. Oh, that's a really bad line. I'm going to hang up, Andre. Maybe you can call back. Hi, Tanya.
Hi, should I turn off my video?
Yes, please. How do you say your name?
Tanya.
Tanya. Ah, okay.
Yes.
Nice. Hi.
Hi. I love Tanya. I love what you're saying about non-duality.
How do you say your name?
You just need to turn the volume off of Ustream.
Okay. Let me see.
Or just turn Ustream off, because I'm speaking to you through Skype now.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Great. Yay! This is so awesome. I'm so excited.
Nice.
Well, I'm calling because I'm a mom, and I hear everything you say about non-duality, and at the same time, it's really interesting to see the process of my son having trouble at school with friends because he's been experiencing some bullying, and to a certain degree, not being able to move away from the pain of the children, being mean to him, calling him. It's been very offensive, some cyberbullying, this and that. So in situations like that, it's my question to you would be, the non-dual approach is really confusing sometimes, because I just see myself moving into right and wrong, good and bad, that kind of thinking.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that?
Well, as long as there's somebody watching your son being bullied, then it's going to be really painful. Right? It's going to be what I call suffering. The only freedom is when that somebody collapses and life's just happening. And then it will still be painful, but it won't be painful for anybody anymore. It just won't be registered like that anymore. It will just always be what's happening in each and every moment. But while there's somebody there looking in time and looking at the son being bullied, then that's incredibly uncomfortable, because that person will have past traumas that it remembers of not feeling loved or not feeling good enough. And then it will project onto the son of what the son feels. So it will be living in this time-bound reality, and it will be looking at the sun and looking at the sun from time. And that will be really difficult. There'll be suffering.
Yes, I really hear that. And and at the same time, there is the decision of moving away, or seeing the body move away from situations, even if there is not that much of attachment.
Yeah.
There is like a natural intelligence of moving away from. Is that true, or is this just part of the self?
Moving away from situations as in like moving your son away from that situation, or what do you mean?
Or just noticing a pain and then moving away from pain.
Oh yeah, the body's going to naturally move away from pain. And the body will, like in that situation, I'm sure the body will do all it can to provide a safe environment and a secure environment for the son. But while you're looking at it and you're in relationship with that situation, it'll be really uncomfortable.
Yes.
That's a really painful thing to watch your son go through what humans consider the worst thing possible, not be loved.
Yes.
That's like because that's what the human fears the most, is not being loved. It fears ultimately that it's been abandoned by God. It's been separated from everything else, and it's been abandoned by God, and it's stuck in this body alone. So it feels like it's done something wrong. So then to watch your child go through that kind of social bullying and rejection is incredibly painful. It's incredibly painful to watch in any situation. Even watching it in animals, an animal being bullied. It's our greatest fear. But not that once the self dissolves, the body won't move the child away from that. That will naturally happen. But why it's so uncomfortable is because of the person which is looking at it, and the person which thinks that it knows about life and these situations, like it knows what's right or wrong, and it blames the other kids for doing it, or the other mothers, or life, or God, or something, or feels guilty.
Yes, or feels that you don't give enough of this or enough of that, or social conditioning. It's
But we never know the movement of things. We never know why things are happening or what's leading to what.
Yes.
We like the other day, my dog caught a seagull that had a broken wing. So we were on the beach and all the seagulls flew away when she ran at them, but there was one that had a broken wing, so it couldn't fly away. So I ran over to get it out of her mouth, and then I went to pick it up to maybe take it to the vets, or I didn't know what I was going to do. I just picked it up to try and secure it and try and get it out of that situation. And as I was getting my jacket off to wrap around it, it ran away and ran into the ocean. And I just watched it swim away because it couldn't fly and get more and more bashed by the rocks and the waves.
Yes.
And in that situation, like, I don't know what's right or wrong. The body instantly responded to help the animal, but then when the animal got away, I didn't know that saving it or letting it die was the best thing. All we know in that moment, and it was sad watching it die. It didn't die actually while I watched it, but it was sad. It was obvious what was going to happen.
Yes.
But then in another way, life knows what it's doing, and what arrogance to think that I know something better. In the moment, the body was responding to try and help it, but then life changed its direction and the seagull ran away. But then ultimately, we don't know whether living or dying or the pain, what's happening. We just know the responses and the impulses in every given moment. It's like, in a way, that's how life is communicating, through all these impulses. And it's really sad that your son's going through that now, but we don't know what it leads to.
No, we don't. But as you say, the body and the impulse is to say, well, is there a better environment? Is there something where...
Oh, yeah. But the mind obsessing about it is just the person in fear about it. But yeah, naturally the body's going to take the son away from that situation or try and move it. But you might find that you put him in another situation and that happens again.
Yes.
You know, like, you might just find that, like, if you look at dogs, there's always one runt that gets bullied.
Yes.
And it's not your son's fault that that's the way life's gone. It's not anybody's fault. It's just the movement of things.
Yes.
And it's tragically sad, life, and it's really beautiful. And seeing that the death and the birth are one and the same thing. That's just the ad from Ustream. Seeing that the death and the birth are the same thing is then falling back in love with life. We fear the death because we think that it's taking things away from us and that we're going to lose things. But seeing out of death is always instantaneous birth again.
That's true.
We just have to wait for the ad to pass.
Sorry,
That's okay.
Ads.
That's okay. That's life. It always comes with these things. We get Ustream for free, so we get ads. It's the gift.
Exactly. But it's watching the sadness come and then just letting it also be part of the flow of life.
It really is part of it. You can't avoid this, and it is tragically sad. Like that seagull, the seagull that I was talking about was a baby. It's okay. You can't get them to go away. They'll overcome the volume blocker.
They are persistent.
Yeah, they're designed to do that, so you have to listen to them. That's why we get it for free, though. That's the amazing thing about Ustream.
And it's wonderful.
Yeah. We can just wait for it to pass.
I think it's just this one that wants to be justified in, am I doing
the right thing? And you don't know. You never know right or wrong. We've made up the idea of rightness, and then we seek for rightness. We don't know these things. We invented the word in the first place. We just know what's happening. In each moment there's impulses, and those are the impulses of life. There's nobody in Tanya acting freely. There's impulses happening, and then there's thoughts that say there could have been a different way, I could have done it differently, which is a lie. The impulses are so intimate. The sadness is so intimate. Like those impulses to protect him or to... And then the body gets tired, so sometimes it doesn't protect him because
Yeah.
there's tiredness in the body, and it's a human body. You know, it's like life just keeps moving and doing its little dance, and it's always in opposites. Life always to really see that birth and death are always simultaneously is to really fall back in love with it.
Yeah. Hear that. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you so much, Tanya. Lots of love to you.
And you too.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, Ramman. He says, are you cold room? Turning the resolution down probably a good idea. Picture and sound are both good. Maybe a suggestion for a song to start with. Call Me by Blondie. Call Me. Hi, Andre.
Hi, Lisa.
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you good now. It was really funny before.
Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry about that.
That's
totally.
okay.
I'm calling to you with love from Russia.
Oh, nice.
So, during last month, I have watched a few of your videos.
Yeah.
I just wanted to talk to you about free will.
Yes.
Please correct me if I'm wrong, but as I understand, you do not really believe in such a thing.
I don't believe in anything. It's not just free will. I don't believe in anything.
Okay, so you were saying that everything just appears, and thoughts also just appears, and there is only illusion of choice. Am I right?
Thoughts just appear. There's any illusion of choice. Yeah, there's just illusion of choice, and everything's just appearing. It's not happening because there's somebody inside the body controlling the body. Somebody separate controlling the movement of the body. But everything I say is just the opposite to what people think. It's not a truth.
But this contradicts my experience.
Huh.
I mean, yes, I understand what you're saying, that sometimes thoughts appear by themselves.
Yeah.
But also, it is possible to consciously create thoughts. For
Is
example, I can choose to think, and when I say I choose to think, I mean that chooses to have thoughts. That chooses to have thoughts about the pink elephant. And I can create a story of his adventures in a magic land, and this is not just appearing. It's my free will. I can create it.
That's just what you think. It's just that you don't know who you are.
Yes, I don't know who I am, but I see that I can create this thought.
That's just the character appearing in the film. That's not who you are.
So what are you saying is that this story about the pink elephant is just I don't know, everything.
All those thoughts and those feelings and those ideas, and even the feeling of the one in which is choosing, or the appearance of the pink elephant coming from somebody that chooses, is all appearing in something. The misidentification is that you are the character in the film rather than that which it's appearing in, like everything. So it's just because there's a misidentification happening. The energy is very focused on the one that thinks it's choosing. So therefore it gives the feeling and the appearance that somebody is inside the body, choosing to move the body, choosing to think, and choosing to create. But that's all appearing in something. Where do you choose from? Where is the chooser?
That have no... I mean, this is not really the matter of who is choosing these thoughts, but the thoughts are created. They are here.
Yeah.
So,
and in those thoughts appears the illusion of Andre.
It seems that I can choose the what to think.
Seems that way, maybe. But who's choosing that? Who's the one that's sitting there behind the thoughts that are appearing, saying, I am choosing what to think? Isn't that just another thought and feeling? And all feelings and thoughts are moving and aren't you, doesn't equal a you. They appear, though, in a boundless freedom. The misidentification is that you are something in there, a limited entity choosing and creating. They actually are appearing in nothingness and are nothingness, boundlessness.
So if I will think that, I mean, not think, but just nothingness creates these thoughts. But
that's just a thought as well. Comes and goes,
yeah,
like everything.
Yes.
And all feelings, all positions of you, everything comes and goes. And everything that comes and goes isn't you. It is you as well, because it's everything, but it's also not you. You aren't a limited thing, yet you are all things.
But who chooses to go left or right? I mean,
that's the mystery, and that's the absolutely divine play of this.
So you believe that...
I don't believe anything.
Yes, you don't believe, but you suggest by this, I mean, streams that there is no one who can choose to go left or right.
There is an appearance of choice, but there's nobody choosing. There's just boundless space in which it all miraculously appears from.
But how then somebody can judge if he is doing the right thing or wrong?
He can't, and that's where humans have got tied up in knots.
That just it eliminates any meaning of everything. Everything just becomes meaningless.
Yeah. The human fears that because it invented meaning and it invented all meaning to all these words, invented purpose, and then it spends its life striving for meaning, striving for purpose, striving for an ending, and it fears not having that because that's the only world it knows. But there's a freedom here that's so vast and endless, and that's what non-duality is always pointing to. There's when the identity or the energy is not going into the identity, then the character or the person appears in this, but you aren't limited to it.
But what will happen if everyone just live in non-duality? Then what?
If everyone believed in non-duality, there'd still be suffering, because belief isn't it, it's a collapse of all your beliefs. But if there is a collapse of all the beliefs, then I don't know, maybe it would be a less productive society, but a more happy society.
So there is no answer to what to do, just be.
It's not that there's no answer, it's that the question's weird in the first place. Because the question of what to do is assuming that there is something separate doing something. So it's not that there's no answer as such, it's that the very question is abstract. But the energy, it's just like a bacteria or just like a tree growing. The energy of doership has got stronger and stronger. There was this scientist in England that used to call thoughts memes. And what she meant by memes, it was like a living organism that was growing. And so the whole idea of God was a meme. The whole idea of a society was a meme. And it was thoughts, but thoughts were like an energy, just like a physical bacteria or a physical cell happening. But they were, I suppose, something happening in the brain, cells happening in the brain. And so lots of humans would have the memes of church. And so cells would get stronger and stronger about this in the brain. And this is what the idea of I need to do something. It's become a religion and it's become a functioning in the human brain, giving the appearance that there's somebody there that could possibly do something. But there's actually no doer of any deed. There's just life appearing. And it's not appearing for anyone. But there's this whole energy that's, or this whole part of the brain which keeps producing the thoughts and the idea of I do, I do, I do. And scientists have also proved that the brain activity has already decided what's going to happen before it appears in consciousness. So there's already a decision made in the brain before the conscious thoughts pop up. Should I go right or should I go left? And then the thought that says go left. It's already decided in the body. The question is who puts the impulses into the body? Who writes the direction of the body? And this is the mystery in which is love.
But can I at least reduce my suffering somehow?
If the person in time wants to reduce their suffering and have a happier life, then maybe that's not found in non-duality.
What it means?
Well, maybe to have a happier life and to reduce suffering, it would be better to reprogram the human to have more happier thoughts or be more social.
So I can reprogram here?
Not that you can, it's not you doing it, but that would more than likely lead to a happier life. And if that's what you want, a happier life in time, then it's more than likely that reconditioning, so the body-mind mechanism is an easier body-mind mechanism, would be the way to do it. But it's not that you can do it, it will just happen or it won't happen. The body, if the body's suffering a lot, it more than likely will try to seek out a therapist or a way to improve it.
So I can choose. I mean, I have a free will for the direction of my life.
Is that what I said?
Yes, kind of.
Not at all. You have to listen back to it. That's not at all what I said. I said if the better life is wanted, so if you said to me, how do I stop hunger?
Yes.
I would say eating food might be the answer to the hunger. I didn't say go and eat food. I said eating food might be the answer. You said how do I have a better life or a happier life? And I said if the person wants a happier life, then non-duality isn't the answer. It's more than likely better to recondition the body to fit in better with the society and to function better. But you don't have the choice to do that. But that's more than likely a way for more happiness. Or get lots of money and sex.
Then if non-duality is not the answer to happy life, then to what question the non-duality is an answer?
It's the end of suffering, or end of the person that suffers. But it's completely different from the individual having a better life. It's the end of you, basically. So it's the end of everything you think you know and believe in. But it's not something that you get. And you is also a belief system. But it's not something you get, and it won't make your life happier because you won't exist anymore. It's like death while the body's still alive. But it's absolute freedom and absolute love. But it won't make you happier. Who would be there left to be happy?
Then why somebody wants this? I mean,
they don't.
Death.
They listen to it and they think that it's pleasure and that it will give them a happier life. They don't want this. But they don't know that. They can't know that. Even in me speaking like this, people will be buzzing away. But it's just the way life goes. Some body-mind mechanisms die. The person dies while the body's still alive. But I never wanted this. I did want this. One part of me wanted this. But like at the time when Lisa was a seeker, what she wanted was a happier life. She wanted to feel better about her situation, about being alive. Ultimately, everybody wants this, but also the person doesn't want this. The person wants to still be there and to feel good about themselves and feel like they've achieved enlightenment and they're better than other people or they know more than other people. This is an absolute empty vessel.
I have to think about this.
You can listen to it back as well, because I
Yes.
speak quite fast sometimes.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you so much, Andre.
Bye.
Bye. I like it when people call in. I like it when people call in. I like it, like it, like it. Hey, Madja. What song was that? Let's see if I've still got it open. Hillsong by Oceans. It was a beautiful song. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Hi, Jim Rudney. Hi, Jim King. Hello. Jim King. Jim King. Hello. Hey, Jason. Hi, David Miller. Okay, I'll call you just after. Hi, Matt. Just let me write to Jim King. Hi, Evgeny. You are better and better. Worse and worse, better and better. In between, in between. Hi, Adbo. I'm just going to call David Miller, and then you can call. Hi, Sanjay.
Hello.
Hi, David.
Hi, Lisa.
Hey.
You just said something interesting to Andre.
Yeah.
And that was that people. What do I need to do?
Nothing. You're sounding
I'm
good.
hearing an echo of our conversation.
No, I'm not hearing it.
Oh, I am. Okay. Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you, yeah. The reason that you might be hearing an echo is I haven't got any speakers in. Maybe if you put headphones in, it might help.
Oh, okay. I can try that.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right.
Got it?
All right.
Hello? Oh.
Yeah.
You can hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, good.
Is it better?
So yeah, it's better. So you were telling Andre that people, if they understood that this would be the, yes. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Gosh darn it.
You're sounding perfect on this end. Sometimes it's hard with people on Skype. I'm struggling to hear them, but you're perfect on this end. It's just your end it's not so good on.
Okay, well I'll cope with hearing this echo a little bit in the background.
Yeah.
Anyway, you told him that people would not want this if they knew that it was the end of ego.
Yeah.
Or the end of themselves, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And yet, I think because we get to observe you, and this process has occurred in Lisa's body, it doesn't appear like, I mean, it does appear as something, for example, I would still want, because you seem, by all appearances, you seem to still exist and to be a happy and clear person.
Well, yeah, I can imagine it seems like that, but that's only because you're imagining somebody here. Yeah, the side effect
You
in
always
the
do that.
the side effect in the body is happiness. It seems the side
So-
effect of no self is the production. It does seem to produce happy chemicals. Not, I can't imagine all the
Yeah.
time, but it does seem to. But
So you would say that for
that's
yourself,
just the body. That's not who I am. Also the
But
external world is me as well,
Mhm.
but not me as a body. When people hear me say that, they keep imagining me as the body. And also in the external world, yesterday I was talking about the seagull yesterday. There's the seagull, there's the me and my friends are staying in a caravan in Lossiemouth at the moment, and last night we broke it. And
Oops.
and we got locked out, and it was cold and it was raining and we're wet. It's the internal and the external. There's no longer a difference. So there's nobody there that can feel proud about their behavior or angry with this person's behavior, or it's this person's fault, or it's just life happening in every moment, free to be as it is.
That seems fine.
Well, it is absolute freedom, and it is heaven, but you can't feel better about people anymore. You can't feel gratitude. You can't feel all these things.
But you did, for example, in your description of the bird with a broken wing and it getting away from you and going off, and you watching the inevitable death or almost seeing it die in the waves, you still had feelings about that.
But the feelings aren't
which
different.
Seem quite normal.
Yeah, but they're not different from the external anymore. That's really weird.
Well,
how to put that into
all
words?
I want to say is
but it's not happening for anyone anymore. Like, I know it seems like it is. As soon as you talk, it seems like there's a character that it's happening for. But imagine now if everything I was saying was just disappearing.
It is.
It is. But normally when the person's there, it's not just disappearing. The person knows who they are and knows that they're looking. And it's an energetic
in a way,
feeling.
And I suppose this is just conceptual.
Yeah.
Is that as soon as you speak, I understand that the words disappear immediately upon hearing them.
Yeah.
And
But also the person disappears continuously. There's just a reconstruction of David hearing them. And practically, that's very accurate. David heard Lisa speak. David felt sad about the seagull, or felt happy towards this. But it's about this emptiness where everything's just appearing and disappearing. And there's no longer somebody there to claim it. It's a bit like, it's an absence of something.
So if I say I think that would be fine, I'm still positing that there's an I that it would be fine for.
Yeah. Like you can't feel good about being enlightened.
I see. So
isn't that so funny?
Simply the I cannot understand this until such thing might or might not happen to this body.
Well, that's a bit of a funny way to put it, but there's also a knowing, a deep knowing what's being talked about, because it's your nature, but the person is always focusing in time for the character, so it misses that deep knowing. And it's not actually really Lisa talking to you, telling you this. So it's like, it's not really somebody out here teaching you about non-duality. It's actually yourself reminding you about non-duality. It's not really a divide thing.
So in a way, could you say that it's emptiness appearing to speak?
Yep, emptiness. But that emptiness that's appearing to speak in the form of Lisa is the same thing that's producing the appearances of David.
Yes.
It's no different. And the one that's hearing this isn't David. David is just the functioning.
Right.
It's just the name of the functioning robot which seems to hear it. But it's not David hearing it. In a dream at night, normally we dream through a body. Is it the body that's hearing the sounds in the dream?
No.
No.
So it's, in a sense, it's emptiness speaking and hearing itself at the same time, even though there's no time. It's just in one moment.
Yeah, and when the illusion of self's there, the thought is that there's a Lisa out there in that body and there's a David inside in that body. But actually it's just appearances, a massive appearances happening for nobody.
And you say massive, meaning, and I know how you've said this so many times before, it's all happening at once, all the way from the Big Bang.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean to say, that there's only one moment and everything that's ever happened is always happening
now?
Yeah.
And it's the same energy it's the same energy exploding into expression.
Yeah, but how can it, from the conceptual point of view of a person, how can it be exploding and not be, and be continuous all at the same instant? In other words, when you visualize an explosion, it starts, it gets bigger, and it finally dies out. So how can the Big Bang and here be happening at the same moment?
I know. This is. I wish I could get a scientist in to speak to you. It's not happening continuously like we imagine.
Oh.
That's just the way that these brains are designed to think.
I see.
But it's not the actuality. But I can't describe it. I would bumble around if I tried to put it into words. But science is beginning to explain this too.
I have one other question a bit here.
Yeah.
Just short. I'm reading something out of a Buddhist text.
Yeah.
Because the nature of things is empty, things can manifest in all their luminosity and unobstructedness. Now, what do they mean? Because Buddhism always uses this term. Things can manifest in their luminosity. Does that just mean that we see light and we see form and we see color and all that?
Say the whole sentence again.
Because the nature of things is empty, things can manifest in all their luminosity and unobstructedness.
I just wish I could just be like to explain to you what that means, but it's such a beautiful quote, David. That's amazing. I love it. It's like, so maybe going to a dream and explaining it. So before the dream happens, it's all empty. When the dream is happening at night, it's still all empty, but there's a luminous of things, and it's absolutely miraculous that they appear, but they're actually not appearing. It's all still no dreaming, always.
Yes.
Say the whole quote again.
Okay. Because the nature of things is empty, things can manifest in all their luminosity and unobstructedness.
Yeah. I love it, but I can't explain it. I don't really understand it myself.
Well, let me tell you a quick anecdote, personal experience.
Yeah.
I once sat in total darkness for 10 days.
Yeah.
It's a traditional retreat, but I didn't do it long enough. I just did it for 10 days. And during that time, I had a luminous dream while I was awake.
Yeah.
The whole world opened up in all its full, vivid brilliance. And I was there without a self. I don't know how, you see there, that's very suspect, but my experience was I wasn't self-referential.
Yeah.
And I felt completely creative, and I felt this knowing quality that, oh, I'm finally in my true nature. And everything was bright and sunny as the brightest day, and it all just appeared out of total darkness.
Yeah.
So I know that can happen.
I don't
So
know if
it's
that.
the
I don't
same
know if
as
that.
a dream.
It is the same as a dream, but I don't know. It's not necessarily about it being bright in colours, but it's about it being purely empty. Or you could say it's all light, like it's all made up of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like
So in a sense, light is nothing.
yeah. What is light?
So
You could look at it as like a film.
Waves.
Yeah, you most probably know the science answer, but you could look at it creatively like as a film. That all this light coming together gives the appearance, gives the appearance of a whole drama happening in time. But ultimately, the light is always perfectly still and absolutely empty. You can't grasp it.
Yes.
But that is the freedom, is the emptiness. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
The emptiness is everything that was ever wanted.
I hope someday to understand this. It's wonderful talking about it.
Yeah. The thing is but you also do know it, but without knowing it. But there's also, because that's your nature, so it is also known as well.
Well, I love it when you say that, because what it reminds me of is sometimes having in the past taken mind-altering drugs.
Yeah.
That's what you kind of fall into naturally, is this knowingness. It's just a very strong feeling.
Yeah.
And it's just knowingness. And somehow I feel like we all keep drifting back into the convention of confusion.
Yeah.
And we feel lost. We feel like I don't know what I'm doing or what I'm supposed to be doing,
yeah.
And that's very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it is really uncomfortable. Yeah. And it does seem to just be a phase in which the human being is going through. Doesn't it? Yeah. Of going into this, because there's just been so much of quick development for the human, like over the last 100 years. It's a very confusing time for the human, and then it seems to be there's a change happening as well, where it's stopping, where the individual self is getting lost in more and more bodies. Like that seems to be crumbling away as well. So it is this big change for the human, and I think
it's huge, yeah. And the fact that the changes happen so fast, maybe this is sort of some of the reason we can say that everyone is fighting all over the planet. You know,
and what's happening in society is this huge emphasis on the individual. More and more emphasis on the individual, and the more and more emphasis there is on the individual, the more and more they will become unhappy. Isn't that crazy? So it's getting so strong, the individual. There's everywhere, and particularly in society, more Western societies, but it's even happening in Eastern societies as well. And the choice and what you've got to choose, and it's all made up. There's never anyone to choose, and there's never that destination for the individual to get to. So it does feel very lost, because it's made up destination. It's made up the idea you've got to choose, and then it's focused a whole life on that, like a whole seeming lifetime. But it does seem to. It's more than likely what's going to happen is that the human's there's going to be so much emphasis on it that the human's going to stop taking life personally, or there's going to stop being a sense of I in it, because it can't carry on like that. It's just going to get darker and darker for humans in that way.
Right, so that would ultimately be destructive.
Yeah, but eventually, I presume it's going to mean the destruction of self, the individual self.
Yes, hopefully that comes before the destruction of the planet.
Yeah, but new life will form even if the planet gets destroyed. That's the way it goes.
Yes, right.
Endless. Well, next time we're talking, we'll be aliens with 100 legs. There is no self.
Oh my God.
Same conversations again. Oh yeah, I forgot.
Amazing.
Funny.
Okay, thank you so
Thanks,
much.
David. Nice to speak to you.
Yeah, and I thank you for responding regarding your trip to Utah. That was
nice. I enjoyed that.
That was pretty interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
Okay. Well, I'll keep in touch.
Yeah. Bye, David.
Bye, Lisa.
You removed your message, Daniel Taylor. What did it say? Hi, Sanjay. Call back if you want to talk. Hello, Radislow. It's a hard name. Hi, Thomas. Is there any gradual process? There seems to be gradual process for the person, but then eventually it's seen there was never a person on a gradual process. But it can seem that way. There's going through time and losing more of yourself and understanding things, but then eventually, what person? Nice explanation of memes. I see how this world works on a neural level. Oh, I did a nice explanation. I was thinking I was getting a bit confused trying to explain it. I know what it is, I can feel it, but trying to put it into words, it all gets a bit messed up sometimes. A Dutch mystic, Alexander Smit, no relationship with Paul, called the side effect a high natural. Hey, Ron. Hi, Sanjay.
Hi, Lisa.
Nice to speak to you again. Could you just turn your video off?
Video off?
Yeah, for Skype.
Skype, alright, okay.
Yeah, I just have not got the highest internet, so I just try and...
Oh, okay. It's
keep
turned
it
off.
down.
Yeah. Oh. I've done that.
Oh, great, thank you.
It's a bit funny.
Yeah, life is a bit funny, Sanjay.
Yeah. Yeah, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay, what shall we start? Since our last conversation,
Yeah.
I feel, some of those questions that were in my mind, the recurring questions, it's just like, I can't even recall,
Yeah.
I can't even recall, and
I can't recall either. I remember your face, I remember speaking to you, but it's gone. But that's what life's always like, it's gone, it's gone, it's gone, it's gone. But apparently the memory is a side effect of the end of the self, or the dissolving of the self, is also it's also quite normal that memory gets worse, because apparently neurologically the memory's not being stimulated as much, so therefore memory does get less and less and less. So eventually you just forget who you are, and then you're free. Oh.
But surely memory is important, right?
It is important, but a big part of the sense of self is the memory of time and who you think you are. And so when that goes, then neurologically in the brain, there's not going to be so much memory stimulated. So it's like any muscle, it's not going to be as good. But life likes to contradict, so I'll say that, and then I'll meet the most insanely smart person ever who's got great memory and no sense of self, and I'll be like, oh, there's that concept. Gone. But a lot of people that I've met, their memory does tend to get worse.
Yeah. But surely that's not the same thing as because you've got to have a memory of practical lives and things like that.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to remember to come and talk to you.
Yeah.
But
So there's got
we're
to
only talking about the subjectivity, right?
there's got to be a certain amount of memory for functioning to happen,
Functioning,
and that
yeah,
will
yeah.
still carry on. But normally, what the memory is used for a lot is remembering who you are, what you've done, who you like, who you don't like, what you want,
Right.
where you're going, and normally a lot of the time that's how the memory is being used. And so when that dies, the memory is not going to be used as much, but it's still going to be used for functioning of tax. Otherwise, you'll just sit in your chair. But my gran, latterly in life, she got Alzheimer's. Or no, I don't think she had full-blown Alzheimer's. I think she had dementia. And she stopped suffering because she forgot who she was. And she forgot that she was sitting in her chair all day. And so she never had a problem with sitting in a chair all day. She was 92 and her body was exhausted. And so she'd just sit there, fall asleep, then wake up again. And she never had a problem anymore, whereas her life, she'd spent a lot of the time anxious and worrying and obsessive cleaning. And then as she began to get dementia, she forgot who she was and what she needed to do and what she should do. And it looked like, from my perspective, that there was no longer a person in there. She kind of forgot who she was because of the side effect of the dementia.
Yeah, but surely we're not trying to...
We're
not trying to get demented.
No. Although maybe we get a little bit demented. No. And it is but it is possible for the functioning brain to carry on without that sense of self. I don't know, when people ask me though, is it as good a functioning brain? Maybe not. Maybe it's not as active anymore. But it still can carry on functioning and do the tax returns and work out computer. But it's not being activated as much because you don't keep obsessing about who you are and who the other is.
Yeah. I can get what you're saying. I think it's the image about ourselves and projection about our images of what happened, what should have happened, I should that, or if it didn't happen, I could have done better. Those kind of things, that just falls away slowly, doesn't it?
Sorry? The what?
Those kind of self-image falls away.
Yeah.
Hence, less of a heart, less. That's what I feel.
Yeah, completely. When you don't know who you are and what is right or wrong, then the ideas about right and wrong will stop coming up, and that kind of worry and anxiety to us will stop coming up, because the sense of person has to know who they are, what's right, what's wrong, what should happen, what they don't want to happen. But when you no longer have anything, then life is just appearing as it is and free to be as it is. And the person isn't there with a destination anymore. It's kind of crazy that the idea of destination screws you up so much. So the idea of what you want this evening to look like, or what you want your lover to say, or what you want your kids to be like, that seems like nice ideas, but they really screw life up. Because rather than this evening or your lover being as they are, you try to get them, the person tries to get them to be as they want them to be.
Yep.
And then there's always a fight against what is. The person struggles with what is, and sometimes what is meets to what the person wants, and sometimes it doesn't. So sometimes it's happy and in ecstasy and has really high pleasure because life's doing what the person wants it to do. And then other times there's agony because life doesn't fit to what the person wants.
Basically, there's no choice.
Choice was just a concept made up for humans to describe action, and the human got obsessed with it. The thinking brain got obsessed with it, what to choose, what to do. But it was just a way to describe what the body did. So I could say my dog chose to eat her bone, but she didn't choose. She hasn't got an idea of that word. It was just impulses happening. She doesn't know what that means. The impulse got up to eat the bone, and then eating the bone happened. Then I described her as that. That was just description, but it's not an actuality. It's not describing somebody doing that. Carry on, sorry.
But in us, there's some kind of movement inside us.
Yeah.
to go and do certain things.
Yeah, inside the body. Yep, there's impulses.
Inside whatever, inside the body, in ourselves.
Yeah.
This should be like, let's say,
yeah.
There's apple on my table. There's lots of other things as well, but I want to eat apple because it's nice, it looks red, it looks juicy, so I want to go to it. But some kind of thought, some kind of movement, got to be there.
Yeah. But it's not a somebody. That doesn't equal a somebody. The person's taken that to be who you are. But that's just a movement of life. And that movement of life, that impulse to eat the apple, is the same impulse as the rain outside, as the sunlight, as the breeze, as the smells. The person's always separating out. This impulse is my impulse, and this impulse is a bad impulse. I shouldn't want to eat the apple, or I shouldn't do this. And that's the lie. There's no difference between inside and outside.
Yeah. So, but, that there is that kind of no choice, let's say no choice state. But there is also, you can not do things as well. Like, at the moment in Middle East, there's lots of killing going on, lots of suffering. I've seen lots of refugees over here with their story and things like that. Is it like we can't do nothing about it?
The body might do things towards, so say if there's an animal in front of you suffering, the body might do something to stop the animal suffering, more than likely will, because the human body is a social animal, so it more than likely will try and help its immediate environment or its environment. But it's not you doing it. That's just an impulsing appearing in boundlessness. And that impulse is no different to the dog suffering or the animal suffering that lays seemingly in front of the body. The body is just an experiencing machine. It's not a somebody. It's not who you are.
Yeah. Okay. Because once you said in one of your videos that you still want to surround with nice people, then you don't want
No, the body still the functioning of the body is to move towards pleasure. So it's unlikely that this body will stay in a room where people are throwing rocks at it. It will get up and walk towards a room where people are caressing or being nice, whatever, or there's food or something. But there's not an imagination of a somebody who needs that. It's just happening. The imagination of you that needs that is what screws everything up. Because in that moment of the rock throwing, rather than there just being pain in the moment, there's suddenly a you in which rocks are being thrown at. And you, it shouldn't be happening to you, and you have an idea of what life should look like to you. When there's not a person there, it's just impulses happening.
What would you say to this? There are a few of our brothers who, at the moment, few extremist brothers, they want to just go and decapitate people because they think they are the right one.
Yeah.
So they are not doing anything. They're
not doing anything. They're just a functioning that happened. Why
does it happen?
Why does it happen? But why? But it's the same thing in the animal world. Why does when the tree grows, it takes over the earth, and the earth is no longer earth anymore. It gets eaten into the tree. The tree takes from the soil to grow. It's the same thing, and it's just within the human, the ideas are what are growing. So the humans have the ability to think. So with that, the radical extreme ideas, it's just ideas that have taken over, and they're feeding off other ideas. It's just another form of experiencing, but that's how life works. It's always one form moving into another. So they're
is in one extreme. Let's say, Lisa as a presence is one thing, and there's another extreme, like let's say people who want to destroy, because you it's destroy, cause a pain, cause a heart, but I'm a little bit so what's this about?
So people want to hurt me, is that what you're saying?
No, the people just, there's few people who want to hurt other people.
Yeah, they don't. It's not
the war, because for the word, for the flag, for the idea. for their so-called religion and whatever.
Yeah. And it's not them that want to hurt, it's just that there's not really a them there, there's just a functioning, and it just wants to take over, and like a cancer, but it makes it sound really negative, but you could say like a tree, like a plant, it wants to take over and exist, and rather than it being a physical form, it's a thought. So the energy of an extreme position of, you know, having a white England, say the BNP or something, that extreme position, it's like, it's not that there's somebody individually inside the body, it's just a functioning of thinking that is trying to take over, and it wants to, like humans want to breed and have more humans, and the tree wants to throw seeds and create more seeds, the thinking energy of white England wants to take over as well. It's completely impersonal.
So basically,
it's just an energy appearing.
That organisms are just identified with the image of being white, or you know, like
and it's to do with everything that's around them. So you've got these body mind mechanisms, and they've grown up and been conditioned by other white body mind mechanisms that that's the right way to think. So that activity in the brain grows. It's not a separate self in there, that their way of thinking and their way of doing is right. So more and more thoughts are produced. White society, kick out people that aren't white, that aren't British, they've got to be English. And they are abusive to people that don't think the same way, not because it's them and they're a personal self, but because an activity of a brain has grown in that way. An activity of thinking has grown in that way. Just like if you keep kicking a dog, then and showing them, if you keep kicking a dog and then showing them a chair or something, they'll be aggressive towards a chair. But it's not anybody. It's just an activity, a functioning happening in this no-thingness. And it happens also in what we would consider good thoughts. So people that condition their kids to be good, and then they have that activity grow and grow and grow.
Yeah. But is it just a conditioning then? Are we just a product of conditioning? Or
we're just the body is just a product.
What you're saying is there is more than conditioning, right?
The body is just a product of its genetics and conditioning. Mm-hmm. Just like everything else, it's very scientific, and it's a product of everything that's come before.
Yeah.
And it's there's not a separate self in there doing that. There's not somebody that has done something wrong. There's just a movement of energy that's expressing in that way. There's nobody to blame for it.
But what would you do in those kind of you yourself? Let's say you put in that sort of practice. Would you not stop?
Would I not what?
Stop those horrible acts being committed or things like that?
I tend to find, I mean, it depends on each body mind mechanism. This isn't an enlightened or non-enlightened thing. I tend to find that this body is attracted towards fairness.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that that's the way it is for all bodies. And I noticed actually that my dad, and I'm genetically very similar to my dad and my aunt, they also are very similar, and they're very fair. Like, my dad's got 2 children, myself and my brother, and he would never ever lend me money without giving exactly the same to my brother. It was really cute.
He still lends you money?
Not now, but if it was the case, sometimes. But if it was the case, or if he was to give me a present, even if it was to buy me a cake, he would then go back to the shop and buy my brother one. Like, he's got an attraction towards fairness. It's just I don't even think it's just the way the bodies are. So this body so if it sees someone being unfair, then it will go and more than likely push towards fairness. But that's just an activity, a functioning of this body. It's not an enlightened thing.
So what you're saying is, it's all learned behavior. It's a product of his genetics, social milieu, and what.
It's all ultimately a product of nothing. But the way that nothing works is from one thing to lead to another thing, to lead to another thing, to lead to another thing, which means there are no things. But the way that it works is movement. is always this continuous movement. So what is happening now is a product of everything that's come before. And you'll never ever work out the conditioning, you'll never work out the genetics. It's amazing, it's so detailed, it's spectacular, but it's always a product of everything that came before. That's the way it works. One thing goes from another thing to another thing to another thing, which means there are no things. There's just energy reforming. And it works in a very seemingly practical way. For one thing to grow, another thing has to shrink. And that's the way it will happen in like a prejudice. The prejudice will function just like a flower growing. The prejudice will try to grow and take over. And if it can't, then it will shrink and something else will take over. So if there's a prejudice, it will either grow and take over, we say non-prejudice, but then it might work the other way and the non-prejudice will grow and take over the prejudice. It can't do anything else but that. One thing moving to another thing, to another thing, to another thing. And we'll never find this ultimate place of peace because one thing's always moving into another thing. You'll never be able to stop the movement of things. And sometimes they will go in the favour of what is wanted, and sometimes they won't.
Maybe that is so. I'm not. Yeah. Okay. It is so.
Yeah.
But in expressing in this way.
Yeah.
Is it like kind of just empowering people? You know, like I can't do anything about it. Like I can't. No. Yeah, you can't.
I can see. Yeah, I can see how that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see how that could happen from the way I'm speaking. Is that somebody could take on that belief system, and that's not really what I'm saying. But I can understand that could easily become a thought, like that. So they hear this and they'll be like, "Oh, there's somebody being beaten up over there, but I can't do anything." But that's what's happening as well, and that's not what I'm saying. I'm not talking about the individual saying to itself, I can't do anything, so it's pointless me trying. I'm talking about the end of the one that thinks that it does. Then doing still happens, but it's not about you anymore. But yeah, it's so easy to take what I say as fatalism, or to get into a whole story of it's hopeless, I can't do anything, what's the point of life? But that's
I think when people look at you and your presence and the way you talk, and probably it doesn't sound fatalistic, but if you read, I think you shouldn't write. You should just talk only, so people can see.
Yeah, maybe true. Yeah.
When they, when you read, they're like people interpret in that.
But also just from being around the non-duality circuit for many years, I've seen many people stuck in the trap of using it to enhance their depression. And that's the way it goes. But then I've seen people, hearing it and really seeing collapsing of that agony, or that sense of them knowing something and them being something. So it works both ways, like everything. But I can understand the thought activity getting depressed, because it's not the way that non-duality, or I tend to talk about non-duality, isn't about becoming something, it's about losing something. So I can and depression is often about I'm not good enough, or this sense of loss, and so I can imagine it uses non-duality to enhance that thought activity. But that's what's happening, that's the way it goes.
It's really nice. Just got a nice feeling actually. I don't know what to say. I think I want to say thank you and stuff, because I just want to sit quiet for a bit.
Okay. Oh, thanks, Sanjay. Really nice to speak with you.
Nice. Yeah. Nice stuff. Thanks.
Bye. Dear Lisa, you answered my first question before I sent it. This is the new and improved version. This is from Daniel Taylor. It seems that there is a randomness at work in this cosmos. I intuit that this means that our choices are not always predetermined, a sort of chaotic fluctuation appearing to be happening, which adds some spontaneous impulse to respond to the response of our consciousness to its ever-changing situation. Can you clarify this for me? It's all spontaneously happening now. Spontaneously happening now, but it's never going to be any different to what it is. And it's so bizarre the way it's all appearing. Hi, Thomas. If you sit and don't do nothing at all with your mind body, the reality of existence will be revealed. Is it a lie? It's not that it's a lie, it's that in a particular moment those words came out of a body-mind mechanism. And they're not true or false, they're just a response happening in that moment. In this moment, this body wouldn't say that. This body doesn't know what things lead to what. Memory tends to get worse, I second that. There is an expression in neuropsychology, use it or lose it. Hey, Savinor? No? Jason, hey. That's interesting what you said about memory, because I had some medical issue a while back that required some testing to be done. And I told the doctor I have a terrible memory, so they did a test to check for an issue that would cause memory loss, and they said that there was nothing they could find to suggest that I should have poor memory. Yeah. Except you're not thinking about yourself as much. Hey, Michael. First, wanted to thank you for these talks. Last talk Sunday, someone asked you what you are. When you said, I don't know, realised you don't know because it can't be known. Then the thought came, there is only enlightenment, nothing and everything, emptiness and form, really one thing. Like bada bang. One iceberg, up and down. One union, in and out. Not as a conceptual, but really. Not as a concept, but really. Yeah. I don't know is the sweetest thing. I don't know, or don't know maybe. Susan, hello, Lisa, lovely to see you. I just signed in. Is it almost over? It's almost over, Susan. Well, it depends how you look at it, but yeah. Hello. Oh, your father's so cute. Oh, God, yeah, he is really sweet. Both my parents are. They're very cute parents. Stefan. Hi, Lisa. I'd like to ask a question. Go for it, Stefan. Hi, Stefan.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. How you doing?
Good. I have been listening to a lot of non-duality speakers, and as I get more and more.
Hi, Stefan.
That's just Ustream. You just need to turn the volume down. That's okay.
Okay, got it. I realize that I have this fear of because I have 2 children, I have a family, I'm married, and I'm afraid that I'm not going to be able to function properly.
Yeah.
As I go deeper into this, and I'm wondering do you make plans? Do you have goals? What do I do with what happens if I lose all of my motivation in my career? So all of these things start to float up, I feel, as I get closer to whatever this is.
Yeah. And that, knowing about me is just trying to relax that sense of fear, which is totally okay. When the fear is there, what it wants is just to be relaxed. But it's just an activity of thinking. When the thinking begins to, or when the person begins to get shaken, it just fixates on certain things, and at the moment it's fixating on future of family and future of your abilities to function and to be a provider. And there's nothing really to do about it. There's just fear there at the moment, and that will work its way out by itself. It's not something you need to do about it. It will just be present until the energy stops losing its grip. Fear, like when that fear is there, that's all there is that energetic sense or that energetic pull or whatever it is, or whatever you would describe fear as. It's like an energetic fire maybe. And it will pass in its own time. All the thoughts will keep looking for ways out of the fear. So it'll keep looking for ways to calm it by saying, if I understand what this person looked like after they woke, and if I know that they didn't drop their family, then that will make me feel better. Or if I can secure money for their future, then that will make me feel better. And it will keep circulating on ways to make it feel better. And sometimes those thoughts will take hook and there'll be action to try and do that, and then sometimes it will just spin for a while. But whilst there's that sensation of fear there about that, then it will be there, and it will dissipate by itself, just like it came by itself, just like everything's happening by itself. But nothing you think about it, and no solution to it, is true in any way. That's just thoughts coming from that energy of fear, trying to sort it out and organise it.
Well, do you make plans for the future? Do you have a savings account? Do you have goals? Do you think like getting life insurance?
That's not gonna make you feel better. That's what society's taught you will make you feel better. Like the not the goals, but like even the like questioning me to see if I do that. None of it's gonna make you feel better. That's always been the problem. That circling, that idea. If I get a life thing, or if I think about this, that's just thought activity that's happening in this silence that's here now. And this moment now is always your freedom. The nature of the fear is the freedom, not the answer to the fear. It's always about now. Yeah.
So the part of the personality of me that feels like I need to do something to secure my future and the future of my family is just basically, it's just chatter.
It's chatter. There's always going to be the natural instinct the body has to look after its family. That's going to be a really natural thing that the body will do. But most of it, what's happening in you in the moment, is chatter to try and escape what's being felt, which is fear. It's just trying to get out of the sensation of fear. Because if you didn't feel fear, you wouldn't even be thinking about doing that. I mean, your freedom and the freedom of your family is all about this, what is. It's just got nothing really to do with the future.
So
the greatest gift that can ever be given to a child is this moment, and not like you can give it to them, but to not be hooked in the ideas of future and my freedom is found in the future.
So what does that mean for financial planning? Is financial planning completely an ego-based activity?
No. That's a natural thing, like the squirrel hoarding away its nuts for the winter. But it doesn't need much thinking about. But the way that you're talking to the moment, I can tell that your mind's obsessing about it.
Yeah.
But that's just what happens as the sense of self gets questioned. And not only that happens in all cases, that fear of survival comes up, but you've got fear of your survival and then all the other bodies, your family's bodies. But it's all the same thing, survival. But the greatest gift you can ever give your child isn't money, isn't security in the future, believe it or not. It's the collapse of that one that believes that happiness is found in the future. To just be with your children is way more than to have £1 million in the bank.
Yeah.
Because everybody's got to experience pain. Everybody's got to experience death. That's the way it goes. And so you can't save your children from that. You can't buy your children's way out of that. They've got to go through that. So the only freedom you can really give them is that freedom of this moment.
Mm-hmm. Now, I mean, I recognize that there is myself that is seeking liberation.
Yeah.
And I know that there are many people, including Tony Parsons, who lived at Osho's ashram for a few years, claiming that his seeking had nothing to do with his liberation. And I find that really difficult to understand. And I mean, I can't help but think that the infinite self that was Tony Parsons was part of his liberation and was active when he was still Tony Parsons. Does this make sense?
No, I don't understand what you mean.
That he's claiming that the Tony Parsons that was seeking liberation,
yeah,
was the personality that did not really exist, was just the dream self.
Yeah.
Yet it seems to me that his searching as the dream self must have had something to do with his ultimate liberation.
No, ultimately that's not the way it is. Because if his dream self had an effect on his liberation, then that would mean that things are separate. Nothing can ever have effect. There's just movement of energy happening.
Right, but there was... I mean, everybody who's going to satsang with Muji are all, they're seekers too, and a lot of them do find liberation. So isn't there a combination of limited dream self and awakened self operating at the same time?
No, you're looking at it in an upside down way. So all there is the flow of things happening, and in the flow of things there might be an appearance of a self that thinks that it's on a journey to awaken itself, but that has never been a separate impulse happening. That's just been a movement of energy. So say in a dream at night, so say if you were dreaming at night, you might be dreaming you're that body in the dream moving through a dream, and that you're on a journey for liberation, and that it's you that moves towards liberation. But did anybody ever move separately in that dream and move themselves towards liberation?
Well, what if the dream self, what if in the dream you knew you were dreaming?
That's still got nothing, but that's still got nothing to do with the character in time. That's just what the dreamer dreams in. So say in a film, if you watch a film, does do any of the characters have effect on each other? They seem to, but they're just movement of light and energy happening.
Right.
But they're never actually affecting each other. It's just light dancing on a screen, giving the appearance that there's cause and effect happening. But there's no cause and effect. There's just light changing forms.
Right.
Changing colour and giving the appearance that a film has led to a specific moment. But it all comes back to nothing. It all comes back to silence.
Right.
So it might seem like somebody is moving towards liberation. It might seem, so there might be a film which is giving the appearance that a body is moving towards liberation, and they're going to all these different speakers and they're having all these awakening experiences, but it's just light changing colour. It's just light giving the appearance that that's what's happening. And then light decides to no longer give the appearance of that body having a personal self in it. So the light then is then projecting the image of a body without a personal self in it, but it's got nothing to do with that movement through time.
Okay, so right now, because I feel that I'm still operating from an egoic self, so this conversation is not actually happening, or this conversation is happening, but it's not happening in reality?
It's not happening because you've made it happening. It's because this is what light or energy is expressing. But this conversation isn't happening because you came in a room and you decided to listen to Lisa. And Lisa's not a separate body from you speaking. It's just energy expressing itself. But what happens in the illusion of self is it also creates an energy giving the appearance that somebody is inside Stefan's body, listening and hearing Lisa speak. to Lisa, a separate self out there speaking. And that's not the case. You didn't come in here and listen to me speak. You didn't go to Muji. You didn't have all these experiences before because you don't exist. Energy has been expressing this certain dance, but it's got nothing to do with you as a separate person. You as a separate person is just another form of expression, but it's not a reality. And it might be that before the energy, just before energy decides to stop playing a separate person inside a body, it might be that it sends the body to loads of different speakers, but it's never happening because of those speakers. It's never happening because of anything that's happening in the dream. It's happening because that's what energy is expressing. It's never anything to do with the dream. But that might be the flow of it. It seems to be in a lot of cases that's the flow of it. One thing leads to another. They go to a speaker, they go and meditate, they go and sit in a cave, they lose all their things or whatever the common story is. And then it falls away. But that's only because that's what energy's doing. It's not because of an individual or a separate self moving the body. It's just the way life's playing.
And as far as this fear that's been coming up, it will just make an appearance and eventually
it will dissipate. But it's just an activity in the body happening, or seemingly in the body, because the person's crumbling. That's what tends to happen. Is as the personal ideas get challenged. So as you get challenged more and more about who you think you are and what you think you know, fear about what you think the future will be comes up, because it begins to get questioned what you think the future will be, what you think you know about the future. And so obviously there's going to be fear or anxiety because there's a change happening, seemingly.
Well, I mean, what is happening presently is just a lot of kind of like not knowing what to do with myself. And I mean,
that's really common.
I'm sorry?
That's really common.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Because the whole life, the activity's been going, you are the doer, you've got to make your life work, you've got to do and choose the right thing, but it's all an illusion. We made up the word choice, and then we made up the idea that you've got to choose correctly. You've got to get it right. And so then when you begin to listen to this message, it's often a sense of feeling lost, because there's been all this energy on do, what you do. What's next? Where to go?
Right.
And then as the ideas get stripped, it is a not knowing, but the not knowing is your freedom. It's not the cage, but there seems to be this process of crumbling, and it is seems to be, there's not actually a process, but it seems to be this process of crumbling.
Yes.
There can be a sense of feeling very lost, because before the person knew what was right and wrong, knew what it should do, knew where it should go, knew what the future should look like, and that was its cage. It thought that's what its freedom was, knowing what the future should look like.
Right.
But that was actually its cage. So often it brings up a sense of feeling lost.
Okay, so and that's okay. I'm assuming it's okay.
Yeah, well, it's all okay. It's all happening absolutely perfectly, but it will run out. It will run out steam after a while.
Yeah.
Just like everything.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to ask you this question, and thank you for.
Oh, thank you very much, Stefan. Nice to speak with you. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you for what you're doing.
My pleasure. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, guys, I gotta go and pick up my friends now. So if I haven't answered your question, email it to me at forgettingthis@gmail.com, and I'll answer it on next Wednesday. This Sunday, I will try and stream my live talk in Findhorn in northern Scotland. But that will be at 2 p.m. BST rather than 5 p.m. BST. But if you miss it, you can catch up hopefully on YouTube. But I'll try Ustream. I'll try and YouTube. I'll try and stream it. I've always got to give a disclaimer. You never know what's going to happen on the day. You never know with the internet. Okay. So thanks, guys. Oh yeah, and another reminder that we've just arranged another event at Stan's in October. So I think it's 2 or 3 weeks' time, the 24th, 25th and 26th of October. Stan's, you might have seen some of the streams. We always have a great time in Belgium, and Stan offers his house free for people to stay in. And there's a really cheap Ryanair airport near his house called Eindhoven. So it can be a great way to listen to Non-Duality and not pay out a fortune to do it. So, okay. You can find that on my website. Bye, guys!